All right, guys, we're going to get straight into it. We're going to go over Bitcoin, Ethereum, some other altcoins that are currently facing a pretty big downside right now. And we're going to get into where the overall market is heading. Is this a time where we should all be concerned? Is this a time where we should use this opportunity to load up on more altcoins and get more allocated to our portfolio? What should we do in this situation? We're going to go over all of that today. But first, before all of that, if you guys could, it would mean a lot to me if you'd go down, subscribe, turn on your notifications, because I will be posting this daily. And on YouTube Shorts, I post literally a free trade every day, completely free trade that you guys can take. That happens every single day. So another reason to be subscribed, and follow the Instagram because we will be doing giveaways there very soon. So if you guys don't want to miss out on that, go ahead, and they will be pretty nice giveaways. That's all I'm going to say. With all that being said, let's get into it and start off with Bitcoin. A lot of people are panicking. I mean, we're falling under 110K, which we have not done since the 1st of September. And this is a pretty key level to watch for. Specifically, I would consider this one of our most recent swing lows, that being this low right here. So as you can see, we are nowhere near $107,282, but we are definitely getting near there. Now on the daily time frame, once this candle closes, actually in 14 seconds, we are going to be closing below the 100-day EMA, and that most likely is going to send us down towards this previous swing low that we have here, where I personally think that is where we'll bounce off, because as you can see, the 200 EMA is also here. So my expectation is we come down to this 200 EMA. If we do, and we'll have this to support our reasoning of continuing upwards, and we'll have that 200 EMA of supporting our reasoning of going upwards. Okay, so maybe we see something like this for Bitcoin, where we tap this, maybe we fail, we break above, but then maybe we continue up, right? There are a ton of different scenarios that we could see play out. If we go on the 4-hour time frame, obviously we are clearly looking very bearish here, but I don't think that in the long run this will be anything to be concerned of. We're of course trading below the QVWAPs, a bunch of other areas as well. So a free trade idea that I shared yesterday was a Bitcoin short. So let me go ahead and remove these fair value gaps. This is a Bitcoin short that I'm looking to take. Now, does that mean we're going to come up here, come all the way down, and that's the end of the bull run? No, I just think that there are a lot of confluences here that if we come up, we can grab a Bitcoin short. So you guys can see on this side, if you look, this gray number is where that initial entry is. The black number is where the DCA would be. And this 116.855 is the stop loss, with 107 being the final TP. If that is something you guys want to take yourself, not financial advice, this is just my thoughts. All the numbers are there, by the way. So my thoughts on Bitcoin, we either pull back from here, right? Because look, we've just continued to go straight down. We've had multiple straight pushes down. We flipped this previous support here into resistance, especially if we come back up and tap that. So honestly, it looks like I might even want to place a short here, because we have the 100-day EMA we just closed below. We have our support here that we just closed below as well. And then there's other factors here to be concerned about also. Do I think that this is by all means our cycle top? I do not believe so. I think Q4 is still going to be very good for crypto, but I do think that we are going to have a scenario like we're having now, where we potentially continue to dip even further. Now, one thing to keep note of is not only do we have a supply zone here on the lower time frame, but we have one very noticeably here around this support. So if you guys remember what a supply zone is per my definition, we can kind of draw it out. I'm not going to include the wicks. This is a supply zone. So I know it says demand zone, but consider this a supply zone. So let me go ahead and type this out. A supply zone is the opposite of demand zone, right? It's an area where a lot of people are looking to go and sell. So if I go put this to red, perfect. You guys can see that we have a supply zone established. Now, I've gone over multiple times on this channel what a demand zone is per my definition, and have not really touched on what a supply zone is per my definition. But a demand zone, as if you guys remember, we have a large price movement upwards, followed by a period of consolidation, followed by another large price movement upwards. And then our demand zone in this scenario is right here. It'd be this consolidation. Okay, this is our demand zone, right? Sharp move up in price, consolidation, sharp move up in price, that is our demand zone. If we go back and look at previous data, well, what do we have here? Back in April and May of this year, we had a large price move up, consolidation, large price move up. This is a demand zone that we have yet to tap yet. We had a demand zone established here on the 4-hour time frame. This was shown in previous videos, and we tapped it not once where you could have got a nice move up, but twice where you could have got a decent move up. And so the same works for supply zones. We saw a supply zone work out very nicely where we were able to go and tap into it, and now we have one right here that could offer a potential new short for Bitcoin. Because, I mean, look, we have the 100-day EMA here, we have the supply zone here, we have a historical support that's now broken below. There's a bunch of confluences that could definitely go and act as, I mean, even QV WAPs are here as well. So there's a lot of confluences here. I think personally that this would be a good first short entry, then maybe this one would be a second good short entry. But personally, I see us hitting 112, 113K if we do come back up, facing some resistance there by having some sort of pullback before we come back up and completely fill this supply zone, therefore invalidating it. So that's my thoughts on Bitcoin currently. Right now, again, things just do not look good, so to speak. I mean, it just doesn't. However, these look like very, very manipulated moves. If you guys go and look to see if I have the vector candles, you can see both these major price swings were vector candles, which means it's an insane amount of volume compared to other candles in normal price volume. And so usually with supply zone, you have one followed by another after with some candles in between. And same thing with demand zones. If we go look at the vector candles for this demand zone over here, we have two vector candles followed by consolidation, followed by a third vector candle. While we have a vector candle here shooting downwards, followed by consolidation, followed by that vector candle shooting downwards also. So that is definitely a sign of some sort of market manipulation. And I think that the market makers are most definitely part of what we just saw happen. I just don't know the long-term implications of that. I do think still though, like my bias for Q4 has not changed. I still think we're going to do very well going into that. But as far as just the chart goes, it does not look too well right now. I think we could have a push back up into the supply zone, come back down, go push up to this supply zone, and then we'd have to fight through all of that also. So we need an insane amount of buying volume. As long as we stay below here, if we close below 107K, then I would start to get concerned also. So there's a lot of different confluences that I'm looking at here. But overall, I think I just need more data to see, but those are two scenarios I think will come up. We have the supply zone here that we'll probably reject off of, and then if we break through that, then we have this other supply zone that we'll probably reject off of. Okay, now let's go on to Ethereum. So I'm currently in an ETH long here. Kind of entered right around where we are, and you guys can see we have a supply zone here, right? Why is it a supply zone? Sharp movement down, consolidation, sharp movement down, right? That would technically be a supply zone, even if it is pretty small. So vector candles make it easy to kind of identify them, but we definitely do have a supply zone here. So my entry to the long that I just put in, and also posted this for free on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. This is based off a Fibonacci level retracement that I drew out from this low all the way to this high, and it was in the 0.65 range around here, right? We also have some other pretty important data here with, as you can see, we have support here. Okay, if I draw this out as a line just for you guys to see, we have support right at this line. Now we just rejected off of that support, or this previous resistance slash support. We just rejected off of this, and now we're starting to push back up ever so slightly. But if you guys go and look back, this was an area where, for example, here we had candle closes above as this was acted as support here. It was acted as resistance. And if we go even further back, it was acted as resistance as well, right? More resistance, and so on and so forth, guys. So this is a key level that I'm looking at. It's just kind of the identified box that I've drawn out. So a major support / resistance level. We have the Fibonacci levels that I've drawn out. I think that is pretty good confluence as well. Plus the 100 EMA on the daily time frame is sitting here where we just rejected off of. So I personally think that we're going to at least get some sort of push upwards with Ethereum. Maybe we get something as such where we start off here, we come up, tap that supply zone, have a movement down, but continue up, close above the 50 EMA, and continue forwards up to potentially hit a new all-time high. ETH still looks really good. We're trading still above the 200 EMA. If we break below the 100-day EMA, I expect us to come tap the 100 or the 200 EMA. So there's a lot of different things that we have going on right now, but I'd say for a daily update, I am watching for this key level. If we close below this support level and the 100 EMA, then I think the next stop is around $3,400 per ETH personally. So that is my personal thoughts on that. And then of course that will impact the rest of the market. Now let's take a look at Solana. So again, Solana also, I drew out some fib levels for a potential short here, but it has pretty much the exact same thing. Now, if you look, we closed above or below the 100 EMA. However, we're coming up and potentially we'll close back above it. Again, this is another thing to watch for. We were in an ascending trend line, as we were with almost every coin before breaking out of it, and of course coming back down, breaking below the 50-day EMA, we did break below the 100 EMA. The SMA 9, we are definitely closing below, and then we are way below the QQ VWAP also. But you can see manipulated moves here. That is probably another supply zone where we could expect something to come out of. But I would say for Solana, again, we just need a rejection off of some of these levels here, a movement back upwards, a close back above this support, and we potentially will be good again. But again, we need just more data. At the end of the day, we need more data. 4-hour time frame, we just continue to break down. So again, more data is needed. We need some sort of reaction to kind of identify like where our strength is currently sitting. But there is Solana. So the next one I'm going to look at is Aerodrome. So Aerodrome fib levels from this low to this high, I believe I drew out. Obviously, we've closed in those. If we go look at, and again, this would have been an amazing short if you would have recognized this trend line breakout. You could have shorted here. We talked about this, and it ended up happening. It almost tapped this demand zone that I've identified on the 4-hour time frame. As you can see, small consolidation here. I wonder if we can find vector candles, probably just because they're too small. But we have small consolidation there. So this is a potential long entry that I'm interested in, but obviously you also, right at this level, have previous daily resistance, which we did reject off of, treating it as support. Therefore, we could have, this was an SR level. Now we could continue back upwards potentially and see where price eventually ends up going. And this is going to kind of be congruent with most other altcoins. Like we're kind of all in the standstill where we need to see healthy reactions to this price movement down that we've just seen over this past week. And then with that data, we should be able to tell where price will go. But genuinely, guys, not much more to talk about than that. I just wanted you guys to have a holistic market outlook. We had, let me go check for sure. If we had any good news today. So today is Thursday. So tomorrow we have the PCE, the price index month over month. But today we had final GDP quarter over quarter, which is 0.5% higher than it was forecasted to be. It was forecasted to stay the same. Final GDP, gross domestic product. Obviously, that is very good to see a rise in that. And unemployment claims were forecasted to be 1,000 higher than they were actually 14,000 lower than the previous. So good news all around as far as these two metrics. And then we'll have to see how the core PCE price index is for tomorrow. But of course, when we had the FOMC meeting, or not the FOMC meeting, but we had Jerome Powell speaking, that kind of tripped us all up. But it seems like we're having a healthy reaction on this daily candle so far. We need, again, ideally this to close above this support, close above that 0.65 Fibonacci level. And I think we're going to be rolling, guys. So that's my thoughts on the markets. We're going to just do something like this every day, a quick update on the technical analysis side of things, any news, if there's any new coins I've heard about that I think you guys should find interest in, or any positions, I'll tell you guys that, but most likely those will just be on shorts. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.